Good afternoon and welcome to this special weekly edition of IBA News, summing up the main stories and voices of the week. Former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is going to jail. This after the Supreme Court this week sentenced him to 18 months in prison, overturning a 6-year jail sentence meted out by a lower court in 2014. Judges accused Olmert of receiving a 60,000 shekel bribe, but acquitted him of charges of receiving bribes to the tune of some 500,000 shekels from the developers of the controversial Holy Land apartment complex in the capital. The 70-year-old former prime minister will become the first former head of government to go to prison and is due to start serving his sentence in a special so-called VIP ward at the Misayahu prison on February 15th. Olmert also faces an additional 8-month prison sentence in what's become known as the Talansky affair, in which he was found guilty earlier this year of accepting cash-filled envelopes from American businessman Morris Talansky in exchange for political favors during his decade-long stint as the mayor of Jerusalem. His attorneys are seeking to include that jail time into his 18-month prison sentence. Speaking to reporters following the court hearing, Olmert continued to insist he had never accepted any bribes. Gennady Kaufman, the Israeli man who was stabbed outside the Tomb of the Patriarchs in Hebron 3 weeks ago, died of his wounds on Wednesday. The 40-year-old father of two from Kiryat Arba was critically injured in a stabbing attack on December 7th. He suffered multiple stab wounds to his chest and was hospitalized at the Sharei Tzedek Medical Center, where he succumbed to his wounds. Kaufman is the 25th Israeli killed in the ongoing terror wave that began over 3 months ago. Meanwhile, this week did not go by without more attacks. Just this morning, one soldier was lightly injured in a suspected car ramming near the West Bank settlement of Tapuach, south of Nablus. On Sunday, one soldier was lightly injured in a stabbing attack on Jerusalem's Yirmiyahu Street near the city's central bus station. He was stabbed in his upper body by a Palestinian resident of East Jerusalem. The soldier battled it out with the attacker, who was later shot by another security guard on the scene. Several hours after that, there was another attack, this time in the West Bank near the village of Hawara. 2 Palestinians stabbed a soldier who was operating in the area. The soldier suffered moderate injuries in his face, and the terrorists were shot dead by fellow forces. Pre-indictment motions were filed at the Petah Tikva Magistrates Court this week against 2 Jewish suspects allegedly involved in the arson attack on the Dawabsha family home in the West Bank village of Duma in July, in which 3 family members were killed. A gag order imposed on the investigation prevents the publishing of the suspects' names or details of the charges. One is an adult and the other is a minor. The 2 are expected to be indicted in the coming days for their involvement in the murder of 18-month-old Ali and his parents Saad and Riham. Officials allege that the 2 were directly involved in the planning and orchestration of the attack. On Wednesday, a Jewish teen was released from custody after being detained for a month as a suspect in the Duma attack. The state prosecutor issued a statement saying the teenager would be indicted for attacking Palestinian youths 2 years ago, but was not involved in the Duma attack. A Jerusalem court ordered the release of 3 suspects arrested earlier this week after they were allegedly filmed in the notorious wedding video showing extremist right-wing Jews touting weapons and celebrating the deaths of the Dawabsha family killed in the Duma arson attack. Police said that they would appeal the decision. The wedding video, aired on Channel 10, prompted a police investigation after it showed a large number of men dancing and cheering the Duma attack, some brandishing weapons and others holding knives and stabbing a photo of the 18-month-old baby killed in the arson attack. Senior government and politician officials condemned the video. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will not tolerate a situation where a particular group refuses to accept the laws of the state and carries out acts of murder. A 4th suspect arrested on Tuesday will remain in custody as the police investigation is ongoing. Turning to the Northern Front, and Hezbollah chief Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah is once again threatening to retaliate against last week's assassination of senior Hezbollah commander Samir Kuntar. Speaking at the start of the week in a televised speech at a ceremony in Beirut, Nasrallah said a severe response for the killing which his group blames on Israel would be inevitable, no matter the consequences. He added that Israelis should be afraid in their own country, along the northern Israeli border, and abroad.
أود على اغتياله قادم لا محالة.
In an apparent response to the Hezbollah threats of an imminent attack, the IDF Chief of General Staff, Gadi Eisenkot, stressed Israel stands ready for any challenge. Speaking one day after Nasrallah's speech during an end-of-the-year ceremony celebrating the Army's top units, Eisenkot said, "Our enemies know that if they disturb the security of Israel, they will quickly be faced with harsh consequences." The Chief of Staff did not refer to the terrorist group by name, only alluding to a threat from the north. The IDF has not taken credit for the airstrike that killed Kuntar, though Israeli officials expressed satisfaction over the results, claiming the leading terrorist was planning fresh attacks against the Jewish state. Meanwhile, the IDF has begun bolstering troop presence in the northern communities in preparation for a possible attack. Additional means of fortifications, such as concrete barriers, have also been placed in the area, particularly along a section of the Route 889, the mountainous road that follows the border between Israel and the Hezbollah-controlled southern Lebanon. For his part, Prime Minister Netanyahu stressed that Israel was involved in a world war against two major streams of Islamic extremists and is forced to deal with the threats they pose. Speaking at a ceremony honoring outstanding officials in the Mossad intelligence agency at the president's residence, Netanyahu once again warned that Israel would respond with any force to any attack against the Jewish state. Israel has carried out another successful missile test, this time with the cooperation of India. The system that is jointly developed is called the Barak 8 missile and is designed to be deployed on Navy ships to protect them against incoming strikes. The Barak 8 is also able to protect offshore gas rigs from hostile aircraft, rockets, and missiles. The Israel Aerospace Industries, which is the primary contractor, said the trials involved 3 launches of interceptors, all from an Indian Navy ship. According to the IAI, the radar can detect threats from up to 100 kilometers away. It can also track multiple targets.
This is a quantum jump in our anti-air warfare capability, anti-missile defense capability, and these missiles, not only this missile has been tested, but the associated systems, that is the radars and the weapon control system, everything is now proven, and these systems will be fitted in all the futuristic warships which are coming in the Indian Navy progressively.
In other developments, mock currency notes combining the American $100 bill with photos of Islamic State leaders were found in northern Israel this week. The strange notes were discovered in several Jewish villages and communities, including Yesod Amala, Chaluta, and even the entrance to a kindergarten at Moshav Sdei Eliezer in the Upper Galilee. The back of the bills have a photo of slain militants and Arabic captions associated with jihadist organizations. Police have launched an investigation into the origin of the bills, which were sent for forensic analysis. Israeli officials have shrugged off a dramatic report in the Wall Street Journal that Washington has been eavesdropping on Prime Minister Netanyahu. This comes despite claims by U.S. President Obama that it doesn't spy on the leaders of friendly countries.
The United States is not spying on ordinary people who don't threaten our national security. This applies to foreign leaders as well.
The newspaper, the U.S. National Security Agency, listened in on telephone conversations between top Israeli officials and U.S. lawmakers during efforts to counter the nuclear deal being worked out with Iran. The eavesdropping reveals just how much the White House was concerned by Netanyahu's efforts to torpedo the Iran deal in Congress. Minister Yuval Steinitz dismissed the report, saying that Israel takes such acts by friendly superpowers for granted and takes its own steps to keep sensitive information secret. Turning to local politics, and Likud primaries will be held in February, securing the prime minister's spot as leader of the party. With no other relevant candidate on the slate, Netanyahu is unlikely to face competition in the race for leadership. The Likud Central Committee this week voted in favor of Netanyahu's proposal to move up the date for the party's election to mid-February. At the same convention, Welfare Minister Chaim Katz was elected as the new head of the Likud Central Committee, replacing current ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, who held the position prior to leaving abroad. At this hour, Sarah Netanyahu, the wife of the Prime Minister, is being questioned under caution by the Special Police Anti-Corruption Lahav 433 unit over allegations of financial blunders at the official residence in Jerusalem and the couple's private home in Caesarea. The decision to launch an investigation followed a recommendation by State Prosecutor Shai Nitzan after allegations were raised in a report issued by the State Comptroller in February concerning lavish spending. The First Lady was granted special permission to enter the police compound in her own car in order to avoid heavy media presence. Former Bat Yam Mayor Shlomi Lihiani began serving his 8-month jail sentence this week at the Hermon prison. Lihiani was convicted of breach of public trust and fraud. The Tel Aviv District Court significantly harshened his sentence from 6 months community service to 8 months in prison, charging that his acts bordered along the lines of bribery. In a plea bargain agreement, the state agreed to strike the more serious bribery offenses, which would have carried a longer jail sentence. Shas leader Aryeh Deri is slated to return to the helm of the Interior Ministry in the coming days. This after the position was vacated last week following the resignation of senior Likud Minister Silvan Shalom, who stepped down amid mounting allegations of sexual misconduct by over a dozen women. Deri, who also currently serves as the Minister for the Periphery, Negev and Galilee, was convicted 16 years ago for accepting over $100,000 in bribes during his previous tenure as Interior Minister. He later served 22 months in prison. Deri returned to politics in 2012 following a 7-year cooling-off period when he was reclaimed leadership of the religious Shas party. And here's some encouraging news. It's been a record year for Aliyah, immigration to Israel. According to the Jewish Agency, more than 30,000 immigrants arrived in 2015, a 10% increase over last year and the highest since 2003. For the second year running, France led with the arrival of some 7,900 newcomers, an all-time record for French Aliyah. Another 7,000 Olim came from Ukraine and 6,600 from Russia. From the United States and Canada, Israel absorbed 3,770 new immigrants, about 100 less than in 2014. The youngest new immigrant was 6 weeks old, and the oldest arrived in July at the age of 97. Jewish Agency Chairman Natan Sharansky says the increase attests to the drawing power of the Zionist idea. And in sports news, here's something to brag about. Kudos to Israel's NBA star Omer Caspi, who this week scored a career high of 36 points in a loss to the Golden State Warriors. The homegrown basketball sensation and Sacramento Kings forward gave a stunning performance, making no less than 9 three-pointers. Despite their loss, the streak registered a personal record for Caspi and the most three-pointers ever shot by a Sacramento Kings player in one game. Israel is bracing to usher in 2016 with a heavy winter storm that is expected to hit the country this evening, last throughout the weekend. Strong winds accompanied by heavy rain, showers, and a significant drop in temperatures are on the bill. Even snow in high altitudes with a possibility of some light flakes in Jerusalem. Emergency crews across the country have been placed on high alert in preparation for the storm's arrival. Well, that brings us to the end of this special weekly edition of IBA News. We're happy to inform you that starting Sunday, January 3rd, we will be resuming daily broadcasts Sunday through Thursday. Please join us. Until then, I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan wishing you a good week and a shalom from Jerusalem.